Hello, friends. It's Cowboy Joe Boo with the Joe Boo Report, the first take Dallas Cowboys. Because every day, the first topic is the Dallas Cowboys. Where would first take be without the Dallas Cowboys? Now, Jerry Jones has said there's no rush to make a decision on who's the starter. Sounds like Dak Prescott's the starter to me. But as always, be sure to click subscribe over here. Over here, the picture of me and Sean Lee. So that way you can get more of the Joe Boo Report. Now let's go to the Cowboy hater number one, Stephen A. Smith.
We'll debate if he has a point there, but we kick things off with Jerry Jones, where options are a positive and decisions are on the horizon. Addressing his quarterback situation on 105.3 The Fan yesterday. Jerry, are you rolling with Dak or awaiting Romo's return?
I don't use the word problem in this conversation. This is a great situation. And to be sitting there with a team coming on the way that it is, both sides of the ball, with it improving like it is, then to have Romo with his abilities sitting there healthy, ready to play, and then to have Dak Prescott playing at the level he's playing with the future standing there motivating us, all of that is a great situation. No, I don't have a time frame. There is no time frame.
Stephen A., does it matter that he doesn't have a time frame?
Well, it matters because what he's refusing to do is acknowledge the fact that Dak Prescott is his quarterback. That means he's holding off for dear life for Tony Romo to come back and ultimately to exercise his authority as the owner, the president, the GM, and everything in between, and insert a guy by the name of Tony Romo who's won a career 2 playoff games. I mean, when you look at Jerry Jones right now, you have to legitimately look at him and say, is something wrong with you? Considering the way that Dak Prescott has looked, considering the level of production that he's put forth, to hear from our NFL aficionados that Dak Prescott hasn't even really been talked to by the Jerry Joneses of the world, by the Jason Garretts of the world and others as it pertains to his tenure for the rest of this season. It's absolutely amazing. It tells you that the prodigal son, which is Tony Romo, the adopted child of Jerry Jones, the guy who might as well change his name to Jones. It should be Tony Jones instead of Tony Romo. It's Jerry Jones looking out for his adopted son, reminding the world, and particularly Dak Prescott, this ain't really your team. I'm going to hold on for dear life before I take it away from this man, because this man has done so much for me. After all, I mean, have you seen Tony Romo? He's been absolutely spectacular for us. I mean, 8-8, 8-8, 6-10 seasons, okay? I mean, there's no question about it. There was an aberration, little aberration when they went 12-4, but outside of that, he's wreaked mediocrity all over the place. Yet and still, Jerry Jones will sit up here and treat this dude like he's Troy Aikman, like he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, like he's Roger Staubach, for crying out loud. This is the Jerry Jones that we know and love. I have no problem with it whatsoever. It falls right in line with what I suspected all along, Max Kellerman, and that is this. In the end, somehow, some way, Jerry Jones will find a way to get in the way and mess all of this up. When I look at the Dallas Cowboys running game, when I look at the offensive line, when I look at the personnel that they have on the offensive side of the ball, the way their defense is playing, particularly their secondary, which is very impressive, obviously from a talent perspective, there's not much you could say about the Dallas Cowboys. So there's only one thing for them to live up to their MO of being the accident waiting to happen that they are. Somehow, some way, they just won't let you down with it. And it seems to me to be laid out right before us. Somehow, some way, Jerry Jones will use Tony Romo to get in his own way and that of his organization and mess all of this up. It falls right in line with what I suspect about the Dallas Cowboys. So I just want you and Cowboy Nation out there to recognize this. I'm just chilling in the cut. I'm waiting out. I'm waiting back. I'm just going to sit back and relax. I'm not going to panic, Mac. I'm going to chill out. I'm going to make sure that I got my cheese doodles while I'm sitting there in front of the games on Sundays or Mondays or whenever the hell the Dallas Cowboys are playing. And I'm just going to wait for them to do what I've always known them to do. You just wait and see.
Well, I hope you're right. As a Giants fan, but as is frequently the case, you're wrong. To paraphrase Marlon Brando, Vito Corleone in The Godfather, paraphrase. Jerry Jones is a figurehead. He never could have put together this offensive line. But it wasn't until they took Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel that I realized it was Stephen Jones all along. He ceded power to Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones makes the decisions, the tough ones, the big decisions that need to be made. When push comes to shove, it's the son that now gets his way over the father. And you can see that from that Manziel draft I just referenced. What happened to the Cowboys? All of a sudden they're good, and they've done it the right way. They didn't go for big, splashy, flashy moves. They built from the draft on the offensive line. Stephen Jones, that's what happened. He started putting his foot down, and he started getting his way. So does Jerry Jones feel allegiance to Tony Romo? Sure, of course, obviously. You said his adopted son, sure. But it's a huge decision in the direction of the franchise, and I'm here to tell you, Stephen Jones will once again get his way. Now, there's an if. If Dak Prescott continues to play well and they continue to win. But let's say they don't. When's the earliest possible time that Tony Romo can come back? So I got the schedule in front of me. They have a bye, right? Then they can eat the Eagles at home. It's in 2 weeks. Let's say Dak loses that game and throws some interceptions. The following week, they're at Cleveland. Let's assume they beat Cleveland. I think that's a safe assumption. Then they're at Pittsburgh. They could lose to Pittsburgh, and they'd still be okay with their record sitting at 6-3. They'd have to lose 5 weeks from now to Baltimore at home before Tony Romo got a start. And then, if Romo started, he'd have Washington at home, divisional rivalry, and then on short rest on a Thursday game, he'd have to go to Minnesota, where they're likely to lose, and maybe the quarterback gets hurt. Like, if Romo even gets back, even if Dak doesn't play well, even if the Cowboys start to lose, he ain't getting back for a month and a half, and when he does, he's running into a buzzsaw. So Jerry Jones can say whatever he wants and try to let something go wrong as usual, an accident waiting to happen, as you say. But I don't think he can right now, Stephen A. And not only that, I don't think his son would let him.
Let me ask you this question. Dallas Cowboys have won 5 straight. Not only have they won 5 straight, Max Kellerman, but 2 rookies, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, have been balling out. You got the 8th ranked offense, the number 2 rushing attack. You got a quarterback that's a rookie 4th round pick who's completing nearly 69% of his passes and has thrown 1 interception in his first 6 games of his NFL career. How difficult is it for the franchise, the owner in particular, to sit up there and say, we can't disrupt this apple cart. We can't mess with what's going on here. This is something special, and we're all on this ride and enjoying every moment of it. Has he said that? No. What he's allowed to happen is a rookie 4th round pick who's starting for him, who's producing for him on a very high level, to be left dangling in the wind at the specter of Tony Romo coming back any moment and producing. I'm saying to you, we don't know. We believe, because we've seen the poise that Dak has exercised, we believe that Dak can handle it. He clearly can, because he's shown that he can handle it. He's a mature kid, very talented, very poised, etc. But think about that for a second. We're so protective of the quarterbacks. We're so protective not just of their performance, but their psyche and mentality, which is why we make such a big deal about Odell Beckham Jr., because we're worried about the impact that that's going to have on Eli Manning. So you're worried about a guy in Eli Manning that has been in the league for over a decade, hasn't missed a single start, is a 2-time champion, and there's an ultra level of sensitivity that gets attached to him. But we're going to throw that out the window when it comes to a rookie who was a 4th round pick who's left dangling in the wind. Why is that? There's only one reason. Because of a love for Tony Romo, an individual that has been your starter for 9 full seasons and has won a grand total of 2 playoff games. And you're reluctant to pull the plug on him? Even at this moment in time, the Dallas Cowboys, particularly Jerry Jones, should be ashamed of himself. It makes no sense. It has no rhyme or reason to it, other than the fact, this is my boy, I want to take care of him. You know, because you gotta remember something.
Loyal.
Hey, listen, you gotta remember something very, very important, Max Kellerman. Thanksgiving's coming up. We know that Jerry wants to invite Tony Romo over
Oh, stop it.
before they go to Texas Stadium. Christmas is coming up. Max, we know that Tony Romo, he wants to go over there, or wants Tony Romo to come over his crib and exchange Christmas gifts. We know that that's what Jerry Jones wants to do. Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up. And let's face reality. I figured it out. I figured it all out. Okay. He doesn't. First of all, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to pull a plug on Tony Romo. And secondly, and most importantly, he doesn't want to ruin his holidays. Yeah. Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up. We know. Since the season, man. We know what time it is, man. We know what time it is.
Romo's going to find a lump of coal in his stocking this Christmas season because, as I said, it's not going to be up to Jerry Jones in the end. Stephen Jones is going to get his way. That's number one. So everything he said might be true. It's not entirely true, but let me concede it for a second. Still not going to matter because Stephen Jones is going to make the sound football decision and put his body in front of Jerry's unsound kind of ego decision. That's one. Two, Dak Prescott has 5 wins and a loss. 5 wins to every loss and counting, right? When last seen, Tony Romo was doing the same thing. They weren't losing with Tony Romo under center. They were winning. Tony Romo was playing a top-notch brand of football, and the Cowboys were rolling with Tony Romo. So it's not as though, well, you have this great thing, and you had a bum before. You had a really good player before, you have a really good player now. Most of us would be on the same page. The younger player who's on a roll, leave it alone. But it's not unheard of that you would reinsert the veteran quarterback who is rolling similarly to the now rookie.
You sound like a bunch of noise. I mean, the bottom line is, you know Jerry Jones.
Wow.
I mean, you sound like a bunch of noise because you're trying to protect Jerry Jones. Oh, he's going to be covering Stephen Jones. Oh, stop it. I mean, that's the only thing.
Did they draft Zach Martin or Johnny Manziel?
They drafted Zach Martin.
So do you think Jerry Jones didn't want to draft Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel coming into the draft had some issues.
With a steak in front of him.
Johnny Manziel coming into the draft had some problems, and that's the only reason why Johnny Manziel is not in a Dallas Cowboys uniform.
When Jerry Jones sees a guy like Johnny Manziel, he salivates. Oh my God, he's got to be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. And it didn't happen, did it?
I got you.
Stephen A is betting on the accident waiting to happen. Max on Stephen Jones. But is anybody betting?